I would like to say welcome back, but you never really left,
Thank
did
you.
you?
No, I was never gone. Come on.
Yeah.
Chael was just on a break.
I think it's, it doesn't really matter if it's in the cage, on the street, or in the courtroom. You remain undefeated and undisputed.
True. That is true.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
They come for the Teflon Don, they just never land.
There was only 9 of them. I don't know how they thought that was going to be enough. In all fairness,
Yeah.
I don't. They must have had me mistaken for somebody else.
Well, there you go. And that is why it's perfect to talk to you about the BMF
Oh,
fight.
this is the interview.
We're talking.
you laid the mic there. I like that.
It's a rolling
like your
start.
own boom mic.
It's a rolling
Like,
start.
right?
I
I like that. Okay, here we are.
We like to keep things casual here, But BMF, I think you're one of the first guys to coin anyone, anytime, anywhere. And so I'd like to talk to you about the significance of that BMF title. Does it matter? Is it important? Or is it just a nice little trinket to throw something to these guys to make them get in there and fight for 5
And thank you for giving me the credit for that. And I'll tell you what, I love it. I love it. I'm alone. I love the interim championship. Some other people wish we didn't even contest it. I like opportunity, and I don't care what word comes before it. If you want to say undisputed, or you want to say lightweight, or you want to say interim, if it ends with world champion, you have my attention. You have my respect forever. So, the BMF's great. I'll tell you, the one person that didn't think the BMF was going to catch on is the one person that created it, which is Dana. Dana was almost embarrassed when he first talked about it. He said he thought that Maynard and Shelby were going to laugh at him. He said everybody loved it. I remember when it came out, I thought, okay, I also love it. However, you're going to have a hard time marketing. Take ESPN just by example. They don't curse on ESPN, but they also don't feint cursing. I did not think they were going to say BMF. I did not think that they would even hint towards that, and it was quite the opposite. People loved it. I mean, from ESPN to Jim Rome to Dan Levitard, everybody, to you, to me, we all got behind the BMF. I think there's something very special there. I also think, I'm being a little long-winded, but, there's more to it. I love that Masvidal is participating.
Yeah.
I love that Masvidal is going to pass the belt and put it around somebody, and then I hope that happens. Whoever goes next, Poirier or Gaethje, whoever's got it, I hope that they go past that belt. History is so important. Lineage is so important to all of sport. To have any form of tradition, I think, is a wonderful thing, and I love the BMF.
I think what some people, cynics, forget that sometimes it's okay to just have some fun.
Yeah.
And the BMF is just a little bit of fun.
Yep.
And I even like the fact that it transcends weight classes.
Yep.
Okay, when these guys go, it's their turn to pass it on to the next
Yep.
two. I like that. I like that sort of tradition. Both of the men, Dustin and Justin, are talking about the title itself doesn't mean anything as much as the UFC title, but there is some legacy here.
Sure.
There's one of two.
Yep.
It's important. So with that,
Well, and they'll be the first. By the way, Oscar, they will be the first. I mean, records are made to be broken. We understand that. But there's some records that can't be broken. By example, being first. Whoever wins this will be the first BMF champion who was also a divisional champion. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, they are setting history. That disappoints me to hear that they're not fired up for the title. That kind of disappoints me. But they're competitors to a different level. I won't question it. I will share with you, they will agree with you and I down the road. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, their grandkids, they will agree with you and I that this is special. You used to be able to win an Olympic gold medal, Oscar, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
My uncle won one in 1964, but it meant nothing. He told me, no, it was a different sport. You're not really understanding. My uncle won 2 NBA championships, but he told me there's only 8 teams in the league back then. He's not proud that he was a world champion dribbling around Wilt Chamberlain. It was just a different time. But fast forward to where he is now, you look back, it's amazing.
Yeah.
People want to hear about it. I mean, I'm just saying, I really think there is something special in the BMF, and I think it's going to be around, and I think that these guys' legacy it's going to be drawn to this.
People don't get enough credit. I had one amateur fight. I won. I'm 100% success rate in the octagon.
Yeah, sure.
I don't have enough credit for that either, Chael, and I
Sure.
want you to all know that. Are these
Undefeated, my man.
undefeated?
Congratulations.
Takes one to recognize.
That's right. And are you, by the way, did you call it a career, or are you thinking of jumping back in there? You look like a very young guy.
I'm 32, and I wanted to do one on International Fight Week, because then I could say if I could juggle the media and have a fight the same week, no one else can do that.
Yeah.
But it never came to fruition. There was a promotion, didn't get it across the line, but maybe. We'll see.
Okay. All right. And
know,
what about steroids? Do you want to get into that? Do you want to go down that
I
path?
had a little run at 18, probably
Okay.
a bit too young to start experimenting.
Okay.
Didn't do the post cycle as well as I should have, but maybe we should talk about that, and you
Sure.
can help me with some assistance.
Yeah, there's
afterwards.
new stuff out there. The guys are doing a lot of stuff. I mean, I say steroids, making a joke because it gets attention, but steroids are antiquated. Nobody takes steroids anymore. The media always gets it wrong. Goes, he's on steroids. Nobody's on steroids. There's much better things. Truly.
I
Much
believe-
better, yeah.
Of anyone, I believe you the
Yeah,
most.
thank you for saying that.
Do you think Justin and Dustin are the right two to be fighting for the BMF?
Sure. I wouldn't disagree. I will maintain for you for the last 5 years, any question you have at 155 pounds, the right answer is Justin Gaethje, but the right answer could also be Dustin Poirier. Anything you want to do. Who should we put in against Islam? Because we all know Charles is going to show up in October. Dustin or Justin. Like, you could just grab whoever loses this fight could still go and compete with Islam and sell out in arenas. So, yeah, man, these guys are special. These guys compete the way I dreamt of competing. I worked very hard. I had goals and I had guys that I looked up to, but I was trying to get to a position of competing, of bringing everything, of having that grit. And they have it. They just have it naturally. And it's very special, man. These two are very honorable men. I mean, the fellow fighters. John Anik coined the phrase, Justin Gaethje is your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. But there's a lot of truth to it, man. They really do bring that essence and heart that everybody else aspires to be like. I got to give them that credit. They're great, man. They're great.
Does the first fight have any bearing on this one? It's 5 years ago. You think so?
Absolutely, it does. Well, Oscar, this part is being left out of the story, and I don't know why. Justin Gaethje called for this fight. Dana White did not ask for this fight. Poirier did not ask for the fight. Justin Gaethje did. I followed Justin Gaethje back in the World Series of Fighting. So I'm sharing that I've seen everything that he's ever done. He's never called anybody out, not that I can recall. I don't remember him ever asking for a fight. That includes world title fights. Even when he wanted that opportunity, he didn't call out the guy by name. He called out Dustin Poirier. Why? What about that first fight has bothered him? What about that first fight did he want to get right? What about that first fight? He chooses to use this one call out, and it's not for a world title, which he probably could have gotten. He chose to do it for this guy. I didn't know that fight bothered him. I don't know what about it bothered him. I don't know what he wants to get right, but it's a very compelling that he called for it. Oh, and by the way, Dustin agreed. So why would Dustin agree? What's he putting on the line? What does he possibly get for this? Now we know about the BMF, but we didn't know that at the time when he agreed. That came in later. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. There's something between these two guys that we don't know about. There's something personal between these two guys that's never been revealed to us. Mm-hmm. That's interesting to me.
Are you leaning one way or the other in terms of a winner?
Poirier will win the fight. I mean, it's the same two guys at the same weight class doing the same thing. And if you're ever going to do a rematch, you have to be able to answer one question, and you can have any answer you want. You just can't have no answer. What's going to be different? And they're the same two guys. They're the same. I don't know that they're any better now than they were then, but they're also not any worse. You know, guys go through a decline. Yeah. You can only fire so many shots. It's amazing how many rounds these guys have had. They're training in the same facilities. They have the same workout partners. I mean, just by example, there's nothing that we can say, well, this guy left and he goes over here to the AKA. It was nothing like that. They're the same guys doing the same thing. Dustin beat him. Dustin will beat him again.
I'm going to throw out a storyline for you because that's, we're storytellers.
Sure.
And it's interesting. Dustin wins.
Yep.
BMF belt.
Yep.
He goes to fight either Islam or Charles, wins the UFC belt. He has both belts, and then Conor McGregor comes back for the fourth fight.
Yep.
Do you like it? Have I sold you?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Even for your YouTube channel, you love that storyline.
I very much do, and you have sold me on that. Yeah, I mean, Red Panty Night is still a real thing, right? Conor McGregor still, moves that needle more than anybody. And I don't know what's going on there with Conor. I think that there's a lot of factors, but one of them that isn't being discussed is the weight. I don't know that Conor, on his first time back, wants to or even should go 155 pounds, and that keeps on being kind of the position that he gets cornered into. A lot of food for thought there. Things are a little murky with Conor in terms of what he's going to do. He enjoys that. He enjoys keeping us in the dark and taking us in different directions. But yeah, I don't have any inside scoop there, and I do like that. Yeah, for the BMF, sure. Conor McGregor will qualify.
Going from one to another guy who I think at some point certainly could have qualified is Tony Ferguson. I've noticed this week a lot of the media, when talking to or about Tony, are kind of being fun with their words. Before this week it was Tony's done, he's washed. Now they're in front of Tony, it's Tony's struggled. But
what do you think of the glasses, by the way?
I actually like the glasses.
Really?
I was thinking about them as you were talking. I think it's good.
So
I like the all in black.
Thank you for saying that. This isn't a fashion statement. These are actually prescription glasses, but they have a little hint to them. Then people think maybe you are like being that guy. It's a kind of guy that would wear dark glasses.
Yeah, we're all aware of them.
When I go do ESPN, should I keep them on? Or should I take them off?
I think you should keep them on as long as you at one point reference the glasses and do what you just did.
Really?
I think if you because otherwise you don't want to be that.
You don't want to be that guy.
But if you reference them and make them part of the hey, I'm here, I'm back.
Yeah.
I think it will go down.
Okay.
I like it.
I'm thinking about doing that.
I think you should.
Because life is better. Of all the performance enhancers I have, these are number one.
Wow.
People say, when I watch movies, and I love movies.
And the litany that you're taking, that's quite the compliment.
Yeah, and I'm not much into a video game guy I was when I was a kid, but I got a son, and now he's getting into it. I can see everything so much better. I can read, and I do a lot of reading. I can see it better. So, yeah, every now and then ESPN will throw a prompter up, and they'll say, well, Chael, read that. I can't if I don't have these on. So then when you're scrambling for them, and that's another thing, when you take your glasses off and you put them somewhere, you can't find them if you don't have your glasses. Right? It's a whole thing. So I'm thinking about wearing them.
Did you ever think you'd get old? You know, you can't find your glasses without your glasses?
No.
Yeah.
No, my mother told me my whole life, she said, one day you'll wake up and you won't be able to see. And, you know, you'll wake up and things will be different. And I did. And she told me it happened right about 40. It was 41 for me, but I couldn't see. It was one morning I couldn't see. I got up, I went to the bathroom, I started washing my eyes out with water. I thought I just had something in my eyes. And I still couldn't say, oh my God, this is what she was talking about. And it happens. Yeah.
Tony Ferguson, did he get old?
Yeah, he did. He did. I will tell you, and I must disclose, Tony's a former teammate of mine at the Range Training Center, so I feel like I can speak about him objectively, but I do have a biasness. Tony is an important guy to me. It's not a matter of how many fights did you lose in a row, and that's always what people discuss. But it shouldn't be a matter of that. I mean, I've seen guys that are terrible, and they'll come out and they'll catch a guy and they knock him out. It's like, well, give him 3 more fights. Like, you know, that's fair. I would never call for somebody's retirement because now I'm calling for them to be unemployed. That's not the road I'm attempting to go down. I will just share with you, that isn't the data mark that people should look at. They should not look at their record, or in this case, his last 5 fights. What you want to look at is one further step. How many rounds has he won in the last X amount? So if you have a guy that in his last 20 rounds hasn't won a round, that is a much more compelling number that you need to look at if you're trying to look out for the guy's safety. You're trying to protect him. You're trying to show, look, we're in a different spot now. It's a much more important, and adversely, you'll have a guy that loses some fights, but just something weird happens. He get caught in a few times, or an armbar or something like this, and you go look and he goes, look, he won 17 of his last 20 rounds, but he lost 4 fights in there. Like, come on, give him a little bit of a break. And I only suggest that for you because you know, the fighter is the last one to know. Yeah. We can all see it, and it's all very clear before the fighter knows. This is a great match. I mean, Bobby Green is not to be messed with. Tony Ferguson is not to be fooled with. Tony Ferguson would work so hard at the Range Training Center that Mark Munoz turned the lights out on him because he wouldn't go home.
It.
Yeah, practice would be over.
His open workouts used to be 35 minutes long, and no one wants to open workout like that long, you know?
That's right. But I mean, he wouldn't stop. Like, practice would end, and then he would grab guys. Hey, you guys rotate on me, and they would. Big name guys would rotate on him. He'd wear them all out. And then when they would all leave and hit the shower, he would then go over to the heavy bag. And it was so much that Mark would come in and turn the lights out on him to make him go home. He worked that hard.
I'm going to go on a tangent away from this card now about 2 guys that I know you're a fan of and like. Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
Recently.
Love him.
I mean, if we're talking BMFs.
Love him. Oh, yeah, thank you for giving him that credit.
Yeah.
That is a BMF right there, Dan Hooker.
I got to spend some time with him.
He had a broken jaw, he had a broken hand or something, and Joe Rogan asked him, and he goes, just a scratch. Right, remember that when he said, come on, man, Dan Hooker is awesome.
Yeah. You'd like to see him start getting against these bigger names?
I'd like to see him do that, and I'd like to see him get into commentary. Dan Hooker has a very good head on his shoulders, not to mention he's charismatic, not to mention he's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a role when this is all done. And he doesn't know anything else. He only knows fighting. He only knows support my team. He only knows be loyal. He only knows cut weight, get to the next town. But there is a life out there when he's ready. And I think he's special. Yeah. I think Dan Hooker's special. I think he's going to have a great place in this sport that he doesn't even know is sitting there waiting for him.
He and I were talking about you. And I said, you like Chael? And he said, Chael's the only man I've ever white knighted for. When John Jones had to go at Chael, he was like, right there, ready to go.
He did.
Yes.
He defended me. And I remember seeing that and go, well, thank you, Dan. I owe you this guy one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then moving from Dan to another man, Tom Aspinall, a man you've obviously coached since he was a child. He had a great performance against Martin Zabora. Some people would argue he was meant to, but I think still you saw things in there that not many other heavyweights can do. Yep. Michael Bisping said John Jones can't hold a candle to Tom Aspinall. I'm curious if you would agree with your peer or if you think there's a little bit a way to go, but what's your thoughts on Tom?
It is very hard to get a compliment from Michael Bisping. I never have, and I'm personal friends with him. I'm personal friends with his wife and with his kids, and I've never gotten a compliment like that. This was the highest praise. The other side of it, grain of salt, Michael Bisping has a fierce loyalty to British fighters. Now, with that said, he's never put anybody over like this, and it does make me wonder, is he right? In this regard, because as you know, I see something very special with Tom too. What we haven't seen yet is the grit. where he's losing a round, he's losing 2 rounds, he's dog tired, an adrenaline dump, something happens, and he finds a way anyway to overcome. He's so good, he's getting guys out of there. And I only bring that to you, Oscar, because I do believe that Aspinall has that gear. I'm just sharing the way Bisping spoke about him. I know Bisping would agree with me that we got to see a little bit more adversity. I'm wondering if Bisping saw him in the practice room, because if you see that in the practice room, you see the guy is training, you know that he's 5-round ready. You could come to that assessment, and I would just be curious if Bisping went and watched him spar and watched him train, saw the work ethic, saw the desire. I would love to hear that kind of stuff, because I'm also a big Tom believer, and I would really like to know some behind the scenes stories.
Did you rate the call out? I'm going to go to France.
Yes.
I'm going to beat this guy, and then I'm going to beat John Jones.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, look, for any story, it's the 5 W's: who, what, when, why, and where. He included them all. He also laid out a roadmap. It is the single greatest roadmap in our entire industry right now. It also happens to be the only one, but he was very specific, and what he did that helped so much is he put over the next card. He brought attention to Paris. He brought attention to the main event. So there's no way from a promotional standpoint that you're going to tell him no. He just served multiple things, right? He just set up an entire year's worth of work for a division. It was a great, great job. I must tell you, it did not include Sergey Pavlich, which surprises me. I think that I'm not sure Sergey needs to do anything except stay alive, and I think he's a number 1 contender, right? But I don't think he needs to beat anybody. I think he just needs to be there. They could make him the number 1 contender right now. They could make him the backup fighter for MSG, which I think they're officially going to do. That's a little bit of a prediction. And the other thing with Tom is the round robin that he suggested included Ciryl Gane. So if anybody was to tell Tom, yes, boom, you've got it, you're now letting everybody there know that if you do this and you do this, you fight John. There is no scenario in God's earth where the UFC would put Ciryl Gane back in there with John Jones after he threw that first fight. So I think that was a little bit of a interesting. I guess I call it interesting. He included Ciryl. He left out Pavlich. I'm being real critical right now. The bottom line is, yeah, Tom did awesome.
How do you like that fight with him and John?
Well, I mean, John is something real special. I know Tom. I know Tom physically has what it takes. Mentally, I have to take him at his word, and his words were, "I'm not ready for John Jones." Now, all of a sudden, that's changed. I'll believe him. And I'll follow him along that journey. But John's something special. I don't want to take that away from him. I don't like him. I think Tom can beat him. I want Tom to beat him, but John's special all the same. Yeah. Whether I like him or not, man, that's a talent right there. That's a rare talent.
Chael, you're going to be doing a lot of talking today, so I don't want to take up all your time. I just want to say thank you very much.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge that Tito did tap and that you are undefeated.
Those are all true.
Yes.
Yeah, and so are you, as it turns out. Good to see you, Oscar.
You too, brother. Thanks, Chael.
They thought 9 was enough. I mean, come on. They must have had me confused for somebody else.